Welcome to Narcissism, Parental Alienation, and the Soul by Claude McDaniel. This program is to help you heal and navigate through the hardships associated with narcissistic alienation and how one's soul can be considered. Please like and subscribe.
For thousands of years, humanity has wrestled with one of its oldest and most profound questions. What makes us truly human? Is it our intelligence? Our memories? Our emotions? Our ability to reason? Or is there something even deeper? Something invisible? Something that cannot be measured under a microscope? Something many traditions have called the soul? Welcome to Narcissism, Parental Alienation, and the Soul. This series explores one of the most difficult questions many targeted parents eventually ask themselves after years of manipulation, betrayal, and alienation. How could someone who once claimed to love their own family become capable of causing such profound emotional destruction? Psychologists often answer through the study of personality disorders. Neuroscientists examine changes in brain function. Philosophers ask questions about morality and virtue. Religious traditions speak about sin, conscience, and the condition of the soul. This series does not claim that narcissists literally have no soul. That is ultimately a theological question that no psychologist, philosopher, or researcher can prove. Instead, we ask a different question. Do many narcissistic behaviors resemble what humanity has long described as a life disconnected from the qualities traditionally associated with the soul? Qualities such as empathy, compassion, humility, conscience, remorse, sacrificial love, honesty, and genuine concern for others. If these qualities gradually disappear, what remains? That is the question we will explore together. Before modern psychology. Long before psychology became a science, civilizations attempted to explain why some people devoted themselves to goodness while others became consumed by pride, greed, cruelty, or domination. Ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism. Nearly every civilization recognized that human beings possess both the capacity for extraordinary compassion and extraordinary selfishness. Different cultures used different words, but many pointed toward an inner life that shapes outward behavior. Some called it the spirit. Some called it conscience. Some called it character. Many simply called it the soul. Among the greatest thinkers to examine this question was the Greek philosopher Plato. Plato's theory of the soul. Around 2400 years ago, Plato proposed that every person possesses what he called the psyche. The Greek word psyche is often translated as soul, but it also refers to the deepest essence of who a person is. For Plato, the soul was far more than emotion. It represented the very core of human identity. He believed that a healthy life depended upon balance within the soul. Plato divided the soul into three interacting parts. Although modern psychology uses different terminology, his model remains remarkably influential. Let's examine those three parts. First, reason. Reason is the thinking part of the soul. It evaluates evidence. It considers consequences. It weighs right from wrong. Reason allows people to pause before acting. Instead of responding purely through emotion or impulse, reason asks questions. Is this true? Is this fair? Will this hurt someone? Should I apologize? Should I forgive? Healthy reasoning becomes the internal compass that guides ethical behavior. Second, spirit. The second part of Plato's soul is spirit. Spirit includes courage, honor, character, conviction. It motivates people to defend what is right rather than what is merely convenient. Spirit inspires acts of sacrifice. Parents protecting children. Soldiers defending others. Neighbors helping during disasters. Spirit allows individuals to place moral principles above selfish desires. Third, appetite. The final component is appetite. This is the part of us that seeks pleasure, comfort, recognition, possessions, success, power. There is nothing inherently wrong with appetite. Human beings naturally desire food, security, companionship, achievement, and comfort. The problem occurs when appetite begins ruling every decision. When desire overwhelms reason and suppresses conscience, balance disappears. Plato's balanced soul. According to Plato, a healthy person lives with these three elements working together. Reason evaluates. Spirit provides moral courage. Appetite pursues legitimate needs without harming others. None dominates the others. The result is harmony, balance, character, wisdom. Even today, many psychologists might describe emotional maturity in surprisingly similar terms. Healthy adults generally regulate impulses, consider consequences, and recognize the needs and feelings of other people. Applying Plato to narcissism. Now let me offer a personal interpretation. This is not presented as established scientific fact. Rather, it is one possible philosophical lens through which to examine narcissistic behavior. When I observe severe narcissistic patterns, I cannot help wondering whether Plato's model helps explain what we see. It often appears that appetite overwhelms the other parts of the personality. Recognition becomes more important than relationships. Winning becomes more important than truth. Control becomes more important than love. Image becomes more important than integrity. If reason and spirit gradually lose influence, appetite can begin directing nearly every decision. The result is not merely selfishness. It becomes domination. Envy, the first warning sign. One of the clearest examples may be envy. Envy differs from ordinary admiration. Admiration says, "I hope one day I can achieve something similar." Envy says, "If I cannot have it, neither should you." Psychologists recognize envy as a powerful force in many narcissistic personalities. Someone else's happiness becomes unbearable. Someone else's success feels like a personal attack. Someone else's loving relationships become something to destroy rather than celebrate. 3 levels of narcissistic envy. In my observations, narcissistic envy often appears along a spectrum. The first level is passive envy. A neighbor buys a newer car. Another family renovates their home. Someone receives recognition at work. The narcissistic individual feels jealous but may not act directly. The second level becomes competitive envy. Now the person actively attempts to outshine others. Rumors begin. Subtle insults appear. Relationships become competitions instead of friendships. Winning matters more than connection. Finally comes destructive envy. At this stage, the goal is no longer simply to succeed. The goal becomes destroying the target's reputation, family, career, identity. This is often where targeted parents begin recognizing parental alienation. When the target is your own family. One of the most heartbreaking realities of parental alienation is that the children themselves often become instruments of psychological warfare. The narcissistic parent may slowly rewrite history. Events become distorted. Loving memories disappear. Ordinary parenting mistakes become portrayed as evidence of abuse. Children hear only one version of reality. Over time they may sincerely believe those distortions. This process rarely happens overnight. It often unfolds over months or years. Eventually the targeted parent asks, "How did my own child come to believe things that never happened?" This question lies at the heart of parental alienation. The role of flying monkeys. Many survivors also describe another phenomenon: people who unknowingly participate in spreading misinformation. Friends, extended family, professionals, neighbors, sometimes even members of churches. In psychology, these individuals are often referred to as flying monkeys. Whether intentional or manipulated, they amplify the narcissist's narrative while rarely hearing the other side. As a result, the targeted parent becomes increasingly isolated. Modern Modern psychology does not speak about souls. Instead, researchers study personality traits, attachment patterns, emotional regulation, trauma, and empathy. Many studies suggest that individuals with significant narcissistic traits often demonstrate reduced emotional empathy, even while retaining the cognitive ability to understand what others feel. In other words, they may recognize another person's emotional pain, without genuinely caring about it. That distinction becomes critically important. Knowing suffering exists is not the same as being moved by it. A philosophical question. This brings us back to our central question. If empathy, humility, remorse, truthfulness, and compassion gradually disappear, are we simply observing a personality disorder? Or are we witnessing something philosophers have debated for centuries? A person whose inner moral life has become profoundly disconnected from the virtues traditionally associated with the human soul. Again, this series does not claim to answer that question definitively. Instead, we invite thoughtful exploration from psychology, philosophy, neuroscience, and faith. Hope for the targeted parent. If you are a targeted parent watching this today, I want to leave you with one encouraging thought. Narcissistic manipulation can convince you that you are the problem. It can isolate you. It can cause you to question your own memories. But losing your family does not mean losing your humanity. The qualities that define a healthy soul, compassion, truthfulness, integrity, patience, forgiveness, and genuine love, can survive even tremendous suffering. Many targeted parents emerge with greater wisdom, deeper empathy, and renewed purpose. Your circumstances do not define your soul. Your choices do. Closing. In our next episode, we will explore another ancient question. Can empathy actually disappear? What happens inside the brain? Inside personality? And perhaps even inside the human spirit? When compassion slowly gives way to manipulation. Join me as we continue exploring narcissism, parental alienation, and the soul. If this episode has been meaningful to you, please consider subscribing, sharing it with others, and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, remember this. Truth has a remarkable way of surviving deception. Even when hidden for years, it has a way of finding the light.
This ends episode 1. Narcissism, parental alienation, and the soul. Please like, subscribe, and tap the bell to be notified of our next episode.